faceless content to cash, where you're able to create your story, monetize, and start your own faceless channel that'll help people engage, like, comment, and subscribe. I had to go and play on the old YouTube slogan, but it actually worked. Just rinse and repeat. Now, I'm not going to promise you that you're going to get rich on this, but if you are consistent and have a schedule and stick to it, you can unlock monetization with this and try to reach some of the community guidelines and guidelines for monetization in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You just have to read up on it, and then you make your own strategy and business plan. I'm going to give you a little introduction on how I got into this. My background is theater, cinematography, editing, script writing. With learning script writing, we would always make a storyboard first before even going and filming anything, because the storyboard tells us exactly what to film. As I would make my storyboards, I got really excited about seeing the actual visuals of what I had been writing in my head for months, because you start off with like a script, first you start off with the outline, with the idea, then you have a script, then you move into what's called a spec script, and then you plot out all your shot lists, and then you want to actually have some kind of idea or visual of what the characters look like, what the story looks like, what the scene looks like, what the setting looks like. And so when you start making those storyboards, that's when you see your story start to come to life, and it gives you that first visual idea of the story that's been playing in your head. I started learning 2D, 3D, and character rigging animation right when my son was born in 2014. Because I really wanted to see my stories come to life. I'm a self-published author. I took a lot of the scripts I wrote in college and turned them into novels and put them on Amazon. And I wanted to move forward with making some cartoons for YouTube. And so as I got into the 2D, 3D, and character rigging, it was very fun. I was able to produce a couple of things and put them up. The problem I was having was I was very slow because it was just me animating, and most production houses have a team when they're doing an animation project. 10 years later, 12 years later, AI is now here. The rule of thumb with AI is going to do for people in 5 years what the internet did for people in 20 years. At first, when AI first came out, I was a little hesitant because I felt like it was going to take the soul of the artist. But then as the technology improved and I began to see some of the really great renders it was producing, I said, you know what? This can actually speed up your process. I understand there's a lot of controversy with AI, and it's a slippery slope between is it losing the art for art's sake aspects of the creation of art, because art is an expression of what a human is experiencing in that time, and art is made to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, according to Cesar Cruz. With that, you have to make your own decision if you feel that AI is a problem or if AI is a good thing. In the last year, I started using AI in all of my medium. I am a multidisciplinary artist. I write songs, music, short stories, I animate, I perform, and I've been doing that since I was a little girl. So seeing AI enter the chat has been an evolution. Like, I never thought in a billion years that we would be using the computer as a tool to assist us in the creations that we make. And once again, I come from a background of theater where you have to get on that stage and produce and wow the crowd. So to see where the leaps and bounds that AI has come, it's very impressive. I always tell people, before you shut it off, just research and take a look into it. Gary Vee always says, don't say that it's an or situation. Add AI to your project as an and situation, where you still can do the things that you already did with your medium, but then you're using AI to just help you speed up the process or even refine your work. So for myself, as an animator, I started off first drawing my characters, and then I would look at my keyframes, pose to pose, do my tweens, and I would find myself sometimes getting stuck or tired because it takes hours and hours of drawing just to get that out. So when I started putting my drawings into some of the AI programs out there and watching some of the renders, I was like, oh my God, this just put together this scene that I worked on for probably about 3 hours in a matter of seconds. I could get a lot more content done on my scale and my level because I'm an animator and a team of one. I do have my own business, Beaver Wilson Girls and Son Media LLC. It's ran by myself and my family, and everyone jumps in as we can around our day-to-day work schedules. But I must say, now that I've been working with AI for the last, I'll give it about 6 or 7 months, it has streamlined my animation process. It's allowing me to execute my projects completely fast. Now all I have to do is think on my training of composition, poses, and I set it up in my program, and then I throw it into the AI program, and I give it a prompt and say, hey, I want you to animate this character I just drew. Hey, change an outfit. Hey, I want to do a walk cycle where they're walking down the stairs and then coming back up. And then it'll produce that. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to work your prompts. I'll even give you some leads at the end of this where you can purchase some material and books that'll also help you with prompts, because knowing how to talk to your computer while you're working on your project is going to help you with some of the renders that you'll get. I want to talk about the modules. There's several categories when it comes to AI. There's AI generated, AI assisted, and then we have what's called AI slop. There's also not suitable for work AI or safe content, and I'll get into that as well. I'll start with AI generated. AI generated is where you come in with text only and your idea and your prompt. You put it in and you're allowing that computer to springboard the first visual for you based on the words you give it. It's still your work, you still own it, but it is considered AI generated, where you've given it a prompt. It's not so much as you don't have your idea, but you're going in a little blind, so you want to give it leverage, and then from there you can either take that work and upload it as is, or you can take it and refine it. AI assisted is where you come to the table with maybe your own reference. Maybe you've already done a storyboard. Maybe you've already drawn your character and you have an idea of what it looks like, and you have all the ideas and you put it in and you say, this is my character, the story's about this, boom, 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 boom. I want you to refine this character. I want you to put this character together. I want you to do this story. And it's going to pump out what you asked it to do based on what you already drawn. That is called AI assisted, where you're not totally dependent on the prompt to create your vision, but you have some kind of control on what it is that you want the visual to look like, where you're not just going to get something back from a computer based on what the algorithm or what the engine has searched for, but it gives a better idea. Then there's called AI slop, and that's where the controversy kicks in. And sometimes the controversy kicks in on AI generated because some people have the rule of thought, if you're having the system generate your idea, then you're not making the idea. But that's not always true. We still are using the prompt. We want to see AI as a tool. So when it comes to AI slop, you'll see a lot of these channels where they'll probably have like one dog, and that dog will do a billion different things in a 30-second or 15-second clip. I remember there was one channel where they had the same dog, same setup in a field, and in that video, the dog either had a firecracker, got in a fight with another dog, ran a race with a chicken, a boat came out of nowhere, picked up and started flying like it was an angel, threw a football. That's called AI slop. And we see a lot of those channels picking up all over the place and flooding all social media in any platform you've ever been. And sometimes it's very, very funny. And it gets your attention because that's what you want. You want something that's going to grab your attention. The problem is some people feel that it's saturating the market just a little bit too much. So with that content, the problem that everyone was having is they felt that it was oversaturating the market. People were just popping up channels and clearing watch times really quickly or getting a lot of views. And they felt that it was unfair because people who were just doing traditional, maybe 2D, 3D animations, art, or other types of medium, that it was an unfair advantage. That's what some people were feeling. I watched one YouTuber and they did a podcast on AI Slop. One of the big takeaways I took was that some of those channels were making like $65 billion in a year just with the watch time and the ads and the way it was mass produced. So I'm going to just say it like this. You decide what success looks like. My son and I are having a conversation about this because he's still a little on the fence with some AI aspects. He likes some things, but then there's some things where he's like, Mom, this is just a lot. And we had the conversation and I said, I'm going to be honest. I'm 45 years old. I have one job. I have to raise a family. And I like the idea that they successfully were able to pull in about $65 million just by running that faceless AI Slop channel. Now, food for thought, I am an artist and I do come from a time before we relied on all of our computers. But like I said, you decide what success is. They always say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or beauty is subjective, or art is subjective. You have to judge based on what you feel in your heart is success. I am now at the place where I see AI in any form, generated, assisted, or slop, as a tool. As a musician, I've worked, I have a background, vocational certificate in music industry business studies. So 20 years ago, I both learned the business side of music and I learned how to use a digital audio workstation, and I also learned how to use an analog board and an analog station. There was a time when we thought the digital audio workstation was a bad thing. Look at how I'm doing my fingers. The technology was cool. You could do MIDI and all these different things to mass produce your music and mass produce all the things, maybe a saxophonist or a guitar player or a bass player. I have a lot of musician friends who have mastered the art and skill of playing guitar just on their keyboard to produce what they want. And they're like, I don't have to hire a guitar player now. Now, in that, you hear the context, and nuance when you hear an actual guitar player, one that is studied, one that has spent hours and hours of learning it. So there's a context and nuance when you use the MIDI versus when you actually hear a guitarist. Once again, art and the beauty of the art and how it's successful is up to the person who heard it, but the person who created, that's still subjective. Whether they feel that it's not art for art's sake, or whether it's just a medium to express. That's what we have to look at when we're working with AI. So the way I see AI now, I see it just as the difference when you go from analog, where we used to just go in, plug into a board, everybody's mic'd, they say the mic is on, everybody is mic'd, everybody has everything they need, and you just record. And what you record is what you get. You still can put some reverb and EQ and other things. You can still plug in filters into your mics, either sends before or sends after. There's all kind of different analog techniques that are really cool. I'm thinking about Spectre with the wall of sound when it was all mono, and then how we went to stereo. And how there's just all these different, you look at different producers and the different mixes. I could spend days and hours in the analog studio, by the way. But I digress. We're talking about AI animation. The point I'm making is, see it as a tool. That's how I look at it. It's just like my digital audio workstation. If I gotta write a song and I need to give it to my producer, I'm definitely gonna grab my keyboard, plug in my MIDI, play my chords, maybe play a little bass line in there, add a little drum and say, hey, tell me what you can do. There was one song we did where we needed some guitar and we actually hired a guitar player to play those parts. Awesome. You can make your art any way you want. It's about expression. And that's what this is all about. Getting the idea out. Getting the idea out of your head. Getting the idea off of your hard drive and moving forward so that you can share your story, so people can be inspired.